Mike was living the life of a criminal and he was making money. He didn't want to work, he didn't want to have a job. He wanted to be a criminal and he wanted to make money. But, contrary to what most people would automatically assume, he was not a drug dealer. That's what many people do to make money, unfortunately. Mike, on the other hand, had other schemes and scams going. And he did well for a while, but it didn't end well for him. What Mike was doing was making fake credit cards and fake checks. He had this system and all the equipment he needed, and a pretty good system that lasted for a while. He was making well over $100,000 a year, traveling around the country, partying, having fun, paying for all of his friends to go with him, buying cars, staying in nice luxury hotels, going on cruises, all these things, all illegally gained. He would make these credit cards. I don't know the exact way he would do it. I know a little bit about what he did. I heard from people associated with Mike what he did, how he did some of these things. Apparently, there's some sort of there's equipment involved in making it. I don't know what these pieces of equipment are called, but Mike had all of it, and he had like the best stuff, and he apparently was really good at it, because if it's not made right, it can mess up. So he would make these cards. He would get some kind of blank cards, like these blank plastic credit cards, but doesn't have a number on it or anything like that. And he would put the numbers on there with some sort of a machine that he had that would stamp the numbers on there. And somehow he would get the strip on the back to have a balance on it. He would take it from somebody's account or somebody else's card and put it on these cards. And he did this every single day. And he would go to ATMs in various places, Las Vegas, also all around the country. He'd go to these ATMs, and he the way he told the story is you had to do it quick or they'd catch on to you and shut the card down. So he would go to these ATMs, insert the card, and he knew the PIN number. He made the card. So he'd go there, put the card in, take out the maximum amount of money he could get, whatever it's set at. Some people have no limit. Some people it's set at 300, some people 500, some people 1,000. He would take out the maximum amount he could get. And I'm talking about he would have maybe 20 to 30 cards, and he'd go through in one night, boom, 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 hitting all these ATMs and taking out this money. So he was making tens of thousands of dollars. And in addition to that, he had some method for making payroll checks. He said that what he would do is he'd get a job just for the purpose of getting a check to get the company's information off the check and make other duplicate checks. Now, sometimes he would go in to an office on a day that he knew was a paycheck day, and he would ask the receptionist to speak to somebody. And when that person left the desk, he would look on the desk and see if there was a bunch of envelopes, because he said that places like construction companies, warehouses, stuff like that, a lot of times on Fridays, they'll leave a check, or they'll leave a stack of envelopes with checks in them and the workers or employees' names on them, so the guys can grab them on their way out. So he knew this, and he would go in there and he'd ask the receptionist, for something, and she would leave to go get whatever it was, and he would take one of those envelopes. He said it didn't matter whose it was, none of that mattered. He just needed the information, the account number, the routing number, maybe other things. I'm not sure what else it was. And he would get that and he would leave. And then sometimes, like I said, he would actually get a job there just to get that first check so he could have the information. From that, somehow, some way, he would print out checks. And the way he would cash them is he would never go into a bank to cash them. He would have somebody else do it. And he said it would usually be a girl, but could be, somebody, could be a guy. But he said what he would do is he'd go pick up somebody who looked, somebody that was, in need, that didn't know him. So they could not say his name or who he was or anything like that if something went wrong. he would offer them either money or drugs to go in and cash a check. He would drive them to the bank, and he said he would tell them exactly how to do it. Now, he did this for a while, well over a year, a few years, and he was living high on the hog between the credit card and the fake credit cards and the fake checks. He was making six figures and living well and having fun, partying, living high on the hog. No work, could do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and go wherever he wanted. And believe me, he was. Well, one day, he goes to cash a few checks. He's going to do 3 of them. He picks up this lady to go in and do this. I don't know if he was going to give her money or drugs. Either way. Yeah. Obviously, there's some like low stuff here. Anyhow, so he takes her over to the bank. He tells her, go in. He gives her 3 checks, and they were going to, if I remember the story correctly, they were going to go to 3 different places or something like that. But she had all 3 of these checks, and she tried to cash all 3 of them right there with the same teller at the same time. And apparently these checks had the same check number, or something was the same, I believe it was the same check number on all 3 checks. So the teller caught this, that would stand out, right? Check, 671 or whatever it was, and you got 3 of them that have that same number. If you guys can remember back when, people wrote checks, they're not too common nowadays, but back when he was doing this, that's how things were. It was still the check days. They're still around, but it's pretty rare. So the teller caught this. She, keeps it cool, calm, notifies her manager, and they call the police. Well, a few moments later, Mike sees the police pull into the bank, to the parking lot, and get out and go in there. He knew right then. So he took off. He left. And he left her there. Somehow, he was going to bail her out because he said he did not want her to tell on them, so he was going to help her out. Somehow she had his number, but he didn't know her that well, he said, but she had his number, so she called him. And he said that he told her, don't say a word. I'm going to bail you out right now. Don't say a word. Well, between the time that they were on the phone and he got down to the jail to bail her out, she had already spoken and talked and told them, yeah, this guy, and he did this, and I was just taking him in there, he was going to give me this and that to do this, so, but he's the one who made him. I don't know how to do this stuff. This is what the woman was saying. So Mike shows up. Sure enough, boom, they arrest him. He's in cuffs. He's in jail. Just like that. His game that he was running for, I think, over 3 years, it's over now. He's caught. He's busted. So, he's in there. He can't believe this. Somehow, I don't know, he gets a bond. I don't know how long that took. A day, a couple days, I'm not sure. And he bonds out. Well, for that, he ended up, I believe he got probation. But that put him on their radar. That made them look at this guy like, this guy he knows how to make these things, and we need to watch this guy. Well, would you think that Mike would learn? I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense to learn, from an experience like that. You get caught, like, don't do it again. That would make sense. But I don't know. I'm not a criminal, so I don't fully understand their mindset, but, So once he's done with all of the probation and everything he needed to do, he starts up again. he starts up doing the same stuff. Probably tried to tighten up his methods a bit, clean it up, make it neater, make it better, make it less likely to get caught, try to, figure out where he messed up. And I mean, I would imagine he tried to figure out where he messed up and, and try to make it so that doesn't happen again, right? That would make sense. So he's out there doing this again. He's living good. He's making good money. He's got a house. He's got a couple cars, but he's got no job. And he's doing the same things. It's with the credit cards, the debit cards, the checks, the same stuff. Well, one day he was at a grocery store